Matt McCall. It sounds to me as if before we had, bin Laden, there's like this big rat who kind of ran everything. This big rat that you can't get out of your apartment. Now there's thousands of little rats all over the place. And this, to me, scares me more than when you just have al-Qaeda in the mountains of Pakistan and Afghanistan. You now have these little groups all around basically the world that are bringing in new recruits at the same time that can now have attacks in all around the world, and there's so much more to cover. To me, this seems so much worse. Why is our administration not thinking in the way I am? Maybe I'm wrong, but why are they not thinking the way I am?
In many ways, this administration doesn't seem to mind the underlying theocratic motivation behind all of this. When you see that we have got now the Muslim Brotherhood in charge of Egypt, this has been for the past 100 years the foundational philosophy to these groups that are affiliated with al-Qaeda now. So it's hard to say that you're against the militant wing of this theology and this political philosophy when you've been supporting it and you've been friendly with it, in Barack Obama's case, I would say, for probably the past 20 years of his adult life.
Buck, let me ask you a question. When we talk about al-Qaeda's growth, is that really a reflection of organizational growth or ideological growth? And what I mean by that is when you talk about al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and you talk about it in Afghanistan, Pakistan, you talk about it in Yemen, how much are we talking about the same thing? Or are we talking about disparate terrorist groups brought together under this brand of al-Qaeda, but really not that connected?
There are certainly groups that are along with the jihad ideology of al-Qaeda that have not sworn fealty. There's actually a process. They will swear fealty to al-Qaeda Central. It had been bin Laden, and now, for example, Shabaab has sworn fealty. They will take orders from Ayman al-Zawahiri, assuming he's living in Pakistan somewhere. That is, in fact, a direct organizational link. But, of course, there are groups that pop up all over the place, and for them, these sort of local Islamist struggles, these local extremist struggles, to fly the banner of al-Qaeda, literally and figuratively, can be a source of recruits for them, can be a source of funding, can be a source of, quite honestly, scaring the opposition around them.
So just for example, Boko Haram, is that an al-Qaeda affiliated terrorist group, or they not?
They haven't decided yet that they're specifically al-Qaeda affiliated, but they are ideologically aligned. It is a hardline Islamist group. They're firebombing churches. They want Sharia all across Nigeria. Have they been blessed by bin Laden specifically? No. But are they willing to do many things that bin Laden certainly would bless if he were alive today? Absolutely.
Let me ask Frank a question about something that he said earlier. You said, Frank, that this is Azika, by the way. You said that al-Qaeda doesn't really go anywhere. They just sit and wait for the right moment. I can't imagine that in the modern era we'll ever have a world without moments for al-Qaeda to exploit. So short of ridding the world of chaos, how do we combat this group that is literally just waiting for every opportunity they can take?
Well, Essie, I think the next opportunity to do that obviously will be unfortunate because it will follow something terrible, I'm afraid, that happens here or somewhere else. And it's probably the opportunity that we should have seized on after the first 9/11. If there's one piece of language that al-Qaeda or Islamic fighters, no matter who they claim they're affiliated with, understand, it's the language of defeat and the language of victory. And it's clearly specified in the Quran that two fighters now, this is, if you're a Muslim, you believe this comes from God, that he was addressing Islamic fighters when he said, perhaps God will restrain the hand of the unbelievers against you. So if we're not giving them 100% of our effort, if we haven't defeated them resoundly on the ground, as we could have or should have in Afghanistan and Pakistan, they view this as God's intervention on their behalf. So short of getting them corralled into one place again, I'm afraid the best weapon we've got right now is exercising our freedom of speech so that we can collapse this kind of global temper tantrum that they're having every time we say something offensive to Islam.
All right.